Hello, BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the K-Tag. The K-Tag is one of the continuing alphabet-themed tags created by Jim of Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff. So let's get started. K is for the Kite Runner. Have you read the Kite Runner? What did you think about the book? I haven't read the Kite Runner yet. And I don't really remember ever actually hearing much about it. So I need to really take the time to look it up. K is for Kafka. How has a writer who never finished a novel so permeate our culture as to have an adjective named after him? Well, apparently his short fiction was enough to really capture the zeitgeist of his time and to really influence how the literature of his time and into the future was looked at. Which is your favorite of Kafka's novels? I've never actually read any of Kafka's novels. And in fact, I don't think I've ever really read much of Kafka's work. I think maybe a short story or two in maybe freshman year of high school, I think. And that was for an assignment. I think we might have read Kafka then. But otherwise, I don't really think we did. Because freshman year of English was, I think, kind of sort of world literature. Sophomore year was maybe kind of sort of the same, although mostly teaching the standardized test that basically dominates most of, well, when I was in high school, sophomore year. Less about that, the better. And then in junior, it was American literature, and then senior year, it was mostly British literature, although the novel we read was American. Yeah. Anyway. So maybe I should make an effort to read some Kafka at some point. Particularly once whatever my thing is with fiction, once I'm over that, maybe I should kind of take the time to read some Kafka. K is for King. Which is your favorite novel by Stephen King? I'm going to go with The Gunslinger. The Gunslinger is not so much a novel as it is a connected short story collection that features Roland Deschain, I think that's his name, pursuing the man in black across a Old West inspired secondary world wasteland. This novel short story collection eventually spawned a series of novels that are quite large, that took Stephen King, I think, a decade or two or more to actually finish, but I really do quite like The Gunslinger. As far as the rest of its novels go, I think they're on the whole too large or too long, particularly It and The Stand. I think they're both way too long, and Christine, the movie is way, way better than the book. So, K is for Kennedy. Have you done the JFK Tag created by Very Literary Kari? I think I have. I was meaning to actually go and check and see if I've done it because it hasn't been that long. but I got swamped. Yesterday I had some errands to run, and since they were outside, and Texas is finally getting to its typical summer weather pattern, it's not very pleasant going outside. And then today, I've been waiting for a chair to come in for my mom, so it came about an hour ago, so I put that together for her, and yeah, so I haven't had a chance to really go check and see if I've done it. I don't think I have, and if I haven't, I'll make sure to try to do this tag sometime this week, and if I have, well, yeah, that's a facepalm. I'm forgetting that I've done it. So I'll go and check and see while I'm uploading this to see if I've actually done it. And then I'll comment down below if I have or haven't. K is for Kirk. Who is your favorite Star Trek character? So James T. Kirk is obviously the captain of the first Enterprise, the setting of the original Star Trek series. Captain Kirk is most certainly not my favorite Star Trek character. That would be, I would say, Captain Sisko or Captain Janeway, I think, are my favorite Star Trek characters. Although I also quite liked some of the secondary characters, but I think Sisko and Janeway are my two favorites. K is for Korea. Can you recommend a book or author from Korea? Unfortunately, Korea is one of those countries that I'm woefully underread in, and both in terms of literature as well as history. I do want to pick up a Korean history book, so I'm kind of going to be hunting one down. And then also I've been wanting to read some Korean literature, although again I'm having whatever issues I'm having with fiction. So I might be adding some to my collection, but that would be mostly library building until I get over my fiction thing. Although it would be interesting to see about like Korean nonfiction and see if there's any that's been translated. I mean, even like history. I'm really interested in translated history, so we'll see. K is for Kindle. What are you currently reading on your Kindle? Well, the last two books I read on my Kindle were comic book collections, which is pretty much all I use my Kindle for when I read. They were Hellions of Volume 1 by, I want to say Jim Zub, but it could be Jim Wells. I'll go and look, because I kind of get them mixed up. And XFactor Volume 1 by Leah Williams. So both series are relatively new additions to the current X-Men run, which is set on the mutant nation island of Krakoa. So about a year or two ago, a major sort of status quo change took place within the X-Men franchise once Jonathan Hickman took over as the lead writer. So the mutants have moved en masse to the island of Krakoa, and Krakoa has been declared a nation state, with all mutants being citizens and various X-Men teams sort of forming to perform different actions or roles. So the Hellions are basically a team of mutant misfits. Those who are psychologically damaged, those who are just insane, whose powers are incredibly dangerous, and basically the idea of the team is to let them sort of go on missions as a form of therapy and also to use their powers. And it's led by Mr. Sinister. It's going to end well. And I think as far as the character interactions go, it was a blast. Mr. Sinister is a hoot. He is just insane. Nanny, who was a longtime X-Men villain, although rather minor one, she is bizarre and a hoot. And there are a few other characters who are kind of interesting. And some I'm not entirely sure whether the reason they're on the team quite makes sense. Havoc, Alex Summers. But anyway, so I enjoyed the character interactions. I'm not entirely sold on the first arc. I thought it was rather weak, and I think the main antagonist was incredibly disappointing. I'd wished she'd had a much better outing than she did. And then XFactor is the most recent sort of incarnation of the long-running XFactor series. So in this version, it kind of sort of resurrects the idea of XFactor as an investigation team. So in this version, XFactor is tasked with investigating missing mutants and mutant deaths, so that the five mutants who are in charge of resurrection can sort of know that that mutants in question are dead and are available to be resurrected at some point. They are overworked. So the team is led by North Star, who sort of initiates this run because he feels that his sister Aurora has been murdered. And he and a team of mutants, Lorna Dane, Rachel Summers, Dakin, the son of Wolverine, David Elleline, I think that's his name. It goes by Prodigy, and Trevor Hawkins, who's Eye-Boy, a New Mutant whose abilities that he has eyes all over his body. So they basically form a team to go investigate Aurora's disappearance and murder, and then are tasked with solving other missing mutant and murdered mutant cases. And so after they clear up the Aurora mystery, they end up going to Mojo World to search for another missing mutant. So anyway, I quite like the character interactions. They were quite fun. Eye-Boy is a hoot. Dakin, North Star I quite liked. Does not get as much attention as he should. And I also quite enjoyed Lorna Dane, Polaris, and Rachel Summers, Prestige, I think is her current name. Like their interaction and work. So anyway, so that's what I've been reading on Kindle. I don't know exactly when I'm get back to reading anything on Kindle. I usually read Kindle when I have nothing else to read. Once I've bailed or I finish early on my books. Okay. K is for killer. What book from your reading took you into the mind of a killer? Oh, shoot. There's a book I read last year for the BookTube prize, but I am completely blanking on the name of it. I didn't particularly care for it, so. Another one. Let me look around real quick and see if I can find something. Okay, I'm drawing a blank, so I'll pass and try to remember the name of the book that was about the hunt for this particular serial killer. K is for kind. What kind of books don't you read? I tend to avoid self-help books, romance. I've given romance a few shots and they haven't quite worked out. I mean, I might come back to it and give it another go. Religious books I don't really read. So, and then of course the final bit is if there are any authors whose names begin with K that you would like to substitute in for Kafka or Stephen King, you can add them in here. So anyway, that was the K tag. So if you would like to do this tag, consider yourselves tagged, and I will remember to mention whether or not I've done the JFK tag. And tomorrow I'll hopefully have the time to do the interrupt tags. And then maybe on Thursday I will do the cancel culture tag if I have enough time. So a new book too. Until then, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.